Good afternoon and welcome back. If you would please put your hands together for a meditation reading. The absolute knowledge of the Blessed One of the 10 quarters is untrampled. May the Blessed One know my thoughts and practices. Even though my body may undergo eternal suffering and pain, my efforts shall never cease and I shall not regret. From Sambuttige, the praises of the Buddha. If you would please join me in Gasho. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu. There are unforeseen circumstances such as illness or death of a loved one or natural disasters or just electrical outages that throw our schedules off. And we have to learn new ways of compensating for those things. You know, we prioritize, we have to deal with those types of problems that always arises. And so we put our scheduled routine on the back burner. And you know, it takes a lot of responsibility on our parts to be able to deal with those unforeseen circumstances. And it's very stressful. And it can also bring about change within ourselves. And once those responsibilities of taking care of those unforeseen circumstances are taken care of, we have to take care of those that we put on the back burner. Yes, change is there. It changes everything. Today, as I'm sitting here, the electricity went out. So we had to think of a different way of recording. So I'm sitting here in the dark with just the candles burning. And we are so used to having that electricity. But you know, when I think about it, that natural light coming through, and just the light on the altar, just brings about a different feeling to how we look at things. So these unforeseen circumstances, yeah, kind of throws us for a loop, and yeah, it's like, well, what are we gonna do? But you know what? It's not a time to lose our patience. It's not a time to give up. And just what we do is we forge ahead. We look towards the strength and the support of our Nimbutsu, of Namo Amida Butsu, in finding that little bit of patience, that little bit of ingenuity, and using that change for good. You know, and as we were saying, as the lights went out and it didn't come back on, I said, oh, well, what are we going to do? I asked the engineer, what are we going to do? He goes, I don't know. I went, okay. And then I thought about it. I said, how about doing it outside? Well, that would have worked. But the wind is kind of blowing, so it would have interfered with the sound. And it's kind of cold. And I don't want to stand out in the cold. So, but there's enough light coming through the windows. There's enough light off the candles to remind us, to remind me that there are always solutions. And there's always Namo Amida Butsu. To be able to just give me that moment of thinking. Give me giving me that moment of trying to find new ideas of how to change things. How that change can not upset me, not upset what I have to do, but using that change for the good. But it's difficult to change, to learn from these changes, and to continue to learn from changes, because we don't like change. I like my scheduled routine. I don't want to change. Yet, change is there. Change is always happening. And we use Namo Amida Butsu to give us that little bit of patience and that little bit of support, so that we can think of the wisdom of the teachings, so it can guide us and give us directions of what has to be done. But it's when we forget Nembutsu, it's when we forget Namo Amida Butsu is there for us, and things aren't going our way. That's when anger comes up, and that's where impatience comes up, and that's when we just throw our hands up and give it up. And it's like, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, brings us back to the present moment, gives us that clarity of finding solutions. And those solutions may be small, but those solutions is a stepping stone to bigger solutions. But we just have to remember Namo Amida Butsu. And I ask the question, do we remember? When do we remember? Or is it just when we come to temple? Or if you hear it, you say Namo Amida Butsu. How about on your own free spirit of using Namo Amida Butsu to calm us, to let that wisdom and compassion come into us. It's that one true and real Namo Amida Butsu that will give us guidance, that will show us that no matter what changes comes our way, we can still deal with it. We can still find solutions. Small solutions at first maybe, but then gradually the solutions that we are truly looking for can come our way. So the 7-syllable Namo Amida Butsu is very simple, 7 syllable. 7 syllables can bring such a relief to us, can help us to find direction and give us guidance. But we have to remember it's there. And change is always there. So it's always Namo Amida Butsu. So as those times come up where we have unforeseen situations, unforeseen circumstances, unforeseen problems or whatever, that's when we stop. That's when we gather that Namo Amida Butsu to find, to give us that little bit of, okay, step away. It gives us that moment of true clarity. But are we willing to see and hear that clarity? And is it our time to remember Namo Amida Butsu? Because Nembutsu is always with us. and it always carries us through. And we can be assured that there is always wisdom and compassion of the Buddha to give us clarity, tiny solutions that leads into finding our way. But we have to be the ones, we, the individual, the person, has to be the one to find our Nembutsu, which is always here in the heart and always in the mind. And not to let things cloud that. Not to cloud our Nembutsu, so we can find what we are looking for. So if you would please put your palms together in Gasho. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Please press like, share, and subscribe so that we can further spread the Dharma among those wishing to find the truth of the Buddha. Thank you very much.